This video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 keys to making the shift in consciousness. I'm going to share with you things that if you do make the process so much easier and will also allow you to accelerate the process as well. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you those 3 keys to making the shift in consciousness, understanding that one of the main reasons that you are here on earth right now could be for this shift in consciousness that is happening at a more global level. Now you may look around and say, what are you talking about, bro? I don't see that happening. Well, the thing is we are all going through it at our own pace. Some people a little bit quicker than ever, but let me ask you a question. Have you noticed that over the last couple of years, more and more people have been waking up? More and more people are becoming aware that the old structure of the way we do things just simply isn't working. Have you noticed that there's been a general shift in the way the mentality that people have towards each other? Now, of course, if you look to the media and you look online, you can find evidence of whatever you look for. You'll find evidence of the third world countries. You'll find evidence of things that are happening in places that don't necessarily want to know about, whether it be war or whatever it is. The idea, though, is that in general, right now is the time on the planet when there is more transformation happening than ever in the history that we know of. And this is a shift in consciousness. This is where more people are becoming aware of who they are. More people are understanding the connection that they have to a larger source of energy. People are becoming aware of understanding that they are an immortal spiritual being living a very temporary human experience. And I remember when I first went through my spiritual awakening back in 2012, when I went through it, I felt like I was one of the only people that I knew that was going through it. I looked around, a lot of my friends and family didn't know what the hell was going on, and it was like I was more of a feeling of being alone. Now what's happening now is it's becoming much more commonplace to go through this kind of spiritual awakening, and the cool thing is it's much easier to go through now because there's a lot more people that have gone through it and kind of people that we can relate to in that way. Now when I say the shift in consciousness, the shift in consciousness is understanding how we can go from having and doing into being present to the moment. You see, most of us live our whole entire life in that of the reaction mode, reacting to the environment, reacting to what people think, reacting to what we are given to our senses. We interpret reality through our 5 senses, and up until a certain point, we then make the shift. The shift is when we go from being asleep in a way, going from being at the response and at the effect of everything that's happening, stimulus, response, stimulus, response, stimulus, response, when we go from that reacting mode into empowerment, to knowing that we can direct our life in a powerful way. Now what we also do is we learn how to become just more present to the moment. We realize that everything we believe to be true is being reflected back to us. That things don't have any inherent meaning in life other than the meaning we give it. This is the most powerful understanding we can have in our life. To some people it's the most scary, but it really is. We are generating the meaning in our lives. Whether a rainy day is a good thing or a positive thing, or a negative thing, will depend upon the person and the way the person perceives it. In the same way, when things are happening in the world, it depends on our perception of it. Now, this is a very empowering idea, and this is about understanding the shift in consciousness that many people are waking up to right now. It's about being empowered. It's about knowing that you don't have to be at the mercy of your past. You can learn to let go of the things that have happened. That's what happened to me back in 2012. I identified with my past experiences for so long. I identified with having an abusive ex-stepmom. Well, she was my stepmom between the ages of 7 to 15. I identified with her being in my life. I identified with why did that happen? Even after 15 years old comes around, my dad divorces her, I still felt unworthy. Why did all of that happen? Why did I go through all of that? And what I realized was that unworthiness was holding me back in the present moment right now. I realized that I had a story going on in my mind about a kind of victim mentality. And I understand a lot of people have been through a lot of things, but the thing is the more we keep that archetype alive, the more we keep that story going, the more we also create it in the present moment. So the only way that we can transcend all of this is by healing it. And that's what I did in 2012. And when I did that, my whole entire life began to change. I could then see that everything in my life was a reflection of what I believed to be true. So if I could let go of the labels that no longer served me, it would then transform my life. And what happened is, on a scale of 1 to 10, I normally felt about a 3 to a 5 out of 10, with an emotional scale of 10 feeling amazing, 1 feeling not great at all. I felt on average about a 3 to a 5. After I experienced the shift in consciousness, I then felt like I was at a 7 or an 8 a majority of the time. I remember walking around my room thinking, is this feeling going to go away? The thing is it never went away. It became my natural set point. Of course, it still fluctuates a little bit, but now I would say that the most negative emotion I feel is more like frustration than it was back in the day, which was like anger, resentment, much lower vibrational emotions. So what I'm saying is this is possible for you, and if you're watching this video, then you are either on this path or about to be on this path or going through it right now, because you cannot perceive that which you are not the vibration of. It means you are on this path. So congratulations, because you are going through the shift in consciousness right now. Even as you hear me explain these 3 things I'm about to share with you, be aware at the subtle shifts that happen within your energy, because this will help you to understand the direction that you're going in, and it'll also help you to understand that you are that which you seek. You are already there. It's about being aware of it. So this shift in consciousness, I believe, is the main reason there are so many billions of people here on the planet right now. I believe that in a global level, we are all going through this shift in consciousness, and that things are going to continue to speed up over the next 10, 15, 20 years. And that now is the best time to be alive on the planet than ever before. I really believe that. Now, the first key to making the shift in consciousness has to do with letting go of lower vibrational energy within your energy field. Now, this is what I mean by this. In the higher dimensional type reality that we are shifting into, basically, some people give this a terminology. Some people will say we are moving from 3D level of consciousness into 5D level of consciousness. 3D level of consciousness is about that of duality. It's about that of good, bad, light, dark. 3D level of consciousness many times is about learning lessons like control. And there could be a certain level of societal story that it's like control over this, or control over the media, control over how people act, control over all these things. That is a 3D idea and a 3D concept. Now, a lot of people are entrenched in the 3D because they react to it. They're reacting to the media. They're reacting to all these things, good, bad, all of the perspectives of it. Now, a 3D consciousness, then moving into a 5D consciousness. A 5D consciousness is with the awareness that we are all connected. With the awareness that what we put out is what we get back. So if we do bad to someone else, if we harm someone else, we harm another aspect of us. 5D consciousness is about existing in a state of love and in a state of beingness. There's more about having and doing in the 3D reality. In the 5D reality, it's about simply being, surrendering to the present moment. It's about understanding that we're all connected. When we all put our thoughts on certain things, that's when things begin to happen. We understand that we create our own reality from our thoughts, from our emotions. And that is the shift. The shift is from the 3D to the 5D. Now, in the 3D reality, we're reacting to everything that's happening. And at a certain point in our past, there is something that happened that most likely we responded in a certain way. And think of it like there's this toroidal field around our body. There's this energy field that goes all the way around our body. And in the moment that something negative happens, what happens is we think that that shouldn't be there. And the moment we think that shouldn't be there, we create a disturbance within our energy field. So imagine there's this energy field around my body. Something happens, whether it's something that happened with my ex-stepmom, for example, and in a moment, there was this jolt inside my energy field when I said, oh, this is not supposed to be there. Now what happened is this jolt within my energy field then happened to where even years later, even after my dad divorced her, there was still this jolt in my energy field of thinking that that shouldn't have happened, and I carried that around for years and years later, attracting to me situations that were similar without even knowing, because that was still within my energy field. So for example, in that analogy, what happened is with my ex-stepmom, she was very controlling. She was very manipulative, and she would talk down to both me and my brother a lot. And what happened is 15 years old comes around, my dad divorces her. We no longer have to deal with the control and all the different mind games and the manipulation. But I still had a story going on. I then get a job working at Nordstrom's in women's shoes where I was going to college. And when I go there, I end up with a manager that almost has the same exact personality as my ex-stepmom. So it was in a way like that jolt within my energy field, thinking this should not be there. Why am I experiencing this level of control? I then have that on subconscious, it's on autopilot. Then I go to this job years later, and this lady is almost the same exact way as my ex-stepmom. Now what happened is for 4 years, she was my manager, and she would not get fired. Like, it was like people in the department were all trying to get her fired because the way she was talking down to people, it shouldn't have been happening. But she was protected by upper management. That's the corporate world. That's how it works in some places. And because we were both dealing with that, or all of us were dealing with that, we were trying to get her to go, it just wasn't working. What eventually happened is I learned how to do this process that is called letting go of the past, observing the past, allowing it to be there, completing the past is what some people would say. And what I did is I realized that everything that happened in my past happened for a reason. And a lot of that reason led up to, even though it created pain, that pressure allowed me to then have that spiritual awakening. So as negative of all that past sounds with my ex-stepmom, the control, not being able to eat a lot of food, being malnourished, being in the abuse, all of that stuff, it served a purpose because it led me to my spiritual awakening years later. And then once I had that spiritual awakening, I became at peace with my past, and within 2 weeks of doing this, that manager got fired. So you may hear me say and be like, well, are you that egotistical to think that your completing of the past, even though there was 12 other people in the department, that was the reason? And my answer to that is maybe, maybe not. But reality is a reflection of what we believe to be true, and when we complete certain patterns in our life, we let go of needing it there. So that could have been the reason that it happened out of my version in my life. So when you complete the past, you let go of the jolts in your energy field because they are not, and you have to let them go because they are not necessary in the 5D reality. And actually think of those jolts in the energy field as keeping you triggered into the 3D reality. So this 3D, 5D. 3D is that of the jolt that happened, the reaction. That was the reaction mind. We weren't necessarily aware of all of this, and it's okay. Allow it to be there. Let it be that you learn something from it, and as you let it go, you then begin to lighten yourself up, and you begin to raise your vibration. You can then exist easier in the 5D reality. Now, before I move on to the next point, let me also point out, sometimes what people think when it comes to 3D, 5D, is they think that there's this shift to where it's going to be a totally different physical reality. Like there's like these two planets or something. Now, it's a metaphor more than anything else. The idea is that even right now in this world, there are 3D levels of perception and 5D levels of perception. Whichever one you resonate is going to be the one that you perceive of. If you stay attached to that of the reaction mode and watching the media and all those things, you may be perceiving of more of 3D reality. But if you let it go and you exist more so in the present moment, you don't need to watch the news to know what's going on in the world, you'll find that you start to resonate with more and more 5D type activities, 5D type people, all of these things. So it's not that it's necessarily we can't see it if we don't want to. If we want to see it, we can go see it, but it's kind of like the idea, why would you want to go see it? And the idea is that you're almost looking through a glass wall. You could see it there. I could still, if I wanted to, I haven't done it in years, I could throw on the news and I could be like, oh, look at all this stuff happening. Look at all that happening in this country. Look at all of this. I just choose not to because I know that it is just one perception of what's going on, probably even a skewed perception, and I just know it won't serve me because then I start to tag into the belief systems. There's stuff wrong in the world, and it doesn't actually serve what my intention is to help. I want to help people shift into this 5D level of consciousness. Now, in the moment right now, the more you let go of lower vibrational emotions that don't serve you, emotions such as shame, fear, guilt, is the more you're going to be raising your vibration. The way you do that is you observe them and you allow those emotions to be there. because you felt those emotions at the time that things happened. Let it be okay. A lot of people try to control their emotions. They shouldn't be there. They're trying to change it. Because they're trying to change it, it ends up being something that they create resistance with. Allow the emotion to be there, and paradoxically enough, it begins to go away. Now, the second key to making the shift in consciousness has to do with observing what is happening on the outside from a neutral perspective, because there are things that will be falling apart. Over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years and beyond, old structures are going to be falling apart. When you look around in society, you're going to see the government will continue to fall apart. You will see that there will be information that comes out that shocks a lot of people. There is awareness coming out, because the truth is we are all multidimensional beings living a temporary human experience. So there is information, there is things that is going to be revealed over the next 10, 15, 20 years, however long it takes. And as that happens, it's going to be breaking apart people's belief systems. Belief systems that may have kept people in a certain mentality for a long period of time. And a lot of that could be belief people have in their government, understanding that may not be as you actually think it is. And this has to fall apart for us to build the new. We can't build the new. It's almost like having a sandcastle and trying to build a sandcastle on top of an already existing sandcastle. That prior existing sandcastle that's not working has to break down, has to level out, and then we can build from there. That's what's happening right now on the planet. That's what happened even if you look in the US right now. Look at the political system. Everything is falling apart from the old norms. The old way that things go, we went about things. The old usual type of politicians even. These things are happening because the old systems are falling apart. Even over the next 5 to 10 years, this system I think will fall apart, and we will have something to build on top of. Now the key is to understand that the one thing you always have the ability to do is to choose how you respond to what is happening on the outside. Because things will shift. And as you choose your own response, that's where you start to gain your power back. Observe it. Allow it to be there. Because then what will happen is people are going to be looking around. They're going to see you, and you're just very calm. You're very collective. They'll be like, what does this guy or girl know that I don't? Why are they so lax about all this? And you are going to be that lighthouse that is emanating the confidence of just knowing. Part of the reason you came to Earth is to make this shift in consciousness, and is to help other people make this shift in consciousness. Otherwise, you wouldn't be perceiving of what I'm sharing with you right now. Doesn't mean you have to go start a YouTube channel. Doesn't mean you need to start posting all over social media. You change the world by first changing yourself. Going within and understanding the way reality works. When you understand how reality works, at least at the foundation, you don't react to it the same way. You are then able to choose your response. You are then able to affect other people just with your energy field. And as you make it by understanding that reality is a reflection of what you believe to be true, and you change yourself from the inside out, that's how everything begins to change. And it's not really changing from the inside out, it's letting go of what doesn't serve and then being at your core frequency. And that is the third key to making the shift in consciousness. It's tapping into your core frequency of who you are. Now, it sounds like an abstract term, core frequency. It is following your passion and always bringing it back to the present moment right now. How are you being in the present moment? Are you allowing the moment to be, and are you being authentic to you? Are you speaking your truth? Many people are here right now on the planet to help other people go through this shift in consciousness, but many people are afraid to share these ideas because what will other people think? That was me for years. In 2012, I went through a spiritual awakening. A lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. I felt the same way. I get it. However, one of the reasons you are here on earth right now is to help other people to make this shift in consciousness. And the way you help other people make this shift in consciousness is by making the shift within yourself first. Because that's how you do it. You lead by example. I remember when I first went through my spiritual awakening, I was going around, I was trying to share it with everyone that I could find. I was like, this is what it is. And the thing was, it's too much too soon. A lot of people just couldn't even relate to it. They're like, what the hell is he talking about? But it's about understanding that when you start to just get to your core, people will see that there's something shifted within you. And you don't even have to really explain. You have to say, hey, come look at this spiritual awakening stuff. You don't even have to say that. You can just be yourself, and then people want to piece it. People want to understand it. And that's what's happened with me, is I don't have to go out there and promote my ideas. I just post my stuff. I use YouTube and I use social media. I just post my ideas and I have no attachment to what people think or don't think. I just simply share my truth. Let me ask you a question. Are you sharing your truth? This doesn't mean that you have to go and post a Facebook post right now or anything. But are you sharing your truth? And if you feel inclined to do so, you will do so. If you feel inspired to do certain things, you'll do it. Are you at your core? Do you feel authentic with who you are? Because if so, then that's great. Then you are living who you are meant to be. But follow your passion. Passion, you doing what you're passionate about. That is your body telling you that you are doing what you're meant to be doing in life. So continue to do that. Continue to follow that. That will lead you where you need to be when you need to be there. It's just about having that awareness that you are so much more than you can imagine. And when you start to realize that there's this ego reaction mode, and then there's this being in the present moment and aware mode, that when you start to shift into this level of awareness, everything in your life will begin to change. Now, something I am creating right now is called the Shift Experience. The Shift Experience with Aaron Doughty. This is a total transformative experience where you shift from having to doing, the reaction mode into social conditioning, thinking you are your thoughts, into being in the present moment, to elevating your vibrational set point from a 3 to a 5 or wherever you are up to a 7 or an 8 out of 10. So that you start to feel more blissful, so that you change from the inside out and you realize that all of your beliefs are creating your reality. So how can you shift and let go of those beliefs so that you start to exist in a totally new place? Now, that's the Shift Experience. If you want to be updated as to when the Shift Experience goes live, you'll see a link in the top of the description box below. That'll be coming out in the next couple months, as well as I'll be doing live events with it as well. So if you want updates for that, click on the link in the top of the description box. And what I will do is I will send you updates as to when that goes live. Also, I will be doing more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, I'll go and plug it right here. I also do daily content there, twice a day, native videos to that of Instagram. So if you want more content from me in a little bit different type way, plus behind the scenes and stories, you'll see my Instagram right here. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification gear next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.